just 2 seconds of background. As Chris was so kind to say, for 25 years as a National Geographic photographer and another 15 as a professor, I've gone all over the Muslim world, and yet I don't feel until I started this project that I really understood much of the Muslim world beyond ritual. I had seen people at prayer in literally every country that surrounds the Arabian or the Persian Gulfs, and seen people at prayer in mosques in West Africa made of mud, and people at prayer in Iran where the mosques were made of lapis and marble, and interviewed Muslim clergymen in such unlikely places as the mosque in St. Petersburg, Russia, along with the more traditional places like Afghanistan, Pakistan, and Bangladesh. But it's knowing and being familiar with ritual is hardly being an expert or even knowledgeable about the tenets of the Islamic faith and the life that is led by those who answer its very powerful call. And I think, unfortunately, this is the case that's so often in journalism, in our quest for the immediacy of what we do, including images. We don't always understand everything we see, that we hear, or that we are told. And on the issue of my book, and I'll just sort of end it there, I went off to Malaysia, I guess in 1998, and I thought I knew Malaysia well. That's where the 2 fatwas on my book still exist. And I was thunderstruck, actually, by the renewed allegiance to an Islamic way of life, just in the hijab, or called the tudung, the woman's head covering in Malaysia, since my last visit, had become almost ubiquitous. And for a visual person, it's something you notice. My book, interestingly, was literally on press on 9/11. And I remember on the 9/10 saying to my wife, Barb, do you think anybody is going to be interested in Islam when this book is published? Timing for those of us in journalism is obviously key as well. But I traveled throughout Southeast Asia. The world has changed a great many times since I tried to put this human face on Islam in Southeast Asia. But I would say that we should be reminded that Southeast Asia is a place where Islam came through trade, not conquest, that Islam has been quite syncretic and combined elements of previously existing faiths like Hinduism and Buddhism, and that it has been a faith that in wide swaths of Southeast Asia is in fact, the Indonesian president told Mrs. Clinton these very words the other day, that in Indonesia, Islam, democracy, and women's rights coexist quite well. Moreover, educated and urbane moderates in Southeast Asia, many of these people helped me do this book, I think, have become a bulwark at a time when some Muslims are prepared to believe, often silently, the worst about the Western democracies, and to kind of cheer the extremists like bin Laden and his ilk. And yet, well, I'll stop there. We'll look at some pictures, and if we have some time, we'll answer questions.
Support for Voices and Visions comes from the Social Science Research Council, the SSRC, leading innovation in the social sciences and educating the next generation of social science researchers.